Brendo is my nickname. You might have ascertained how I got that. You can catch me on LPU Sydney. I do the morning show there. I do Dead Set Legends on the weekend. I've heard some of my fine work. Here's AC/DC, that's AC/DC, so on and so forth. A massive thank you to Crowbar for having us. Give him a round of applause. One of the great rock band in Sydney, so thank you for having us. Photos and videos today are encouraged. Oh, you thought I was going to say the opposite. What a twist. You can have your phones out, you can record, you can take pictures, you can, well, that's the extent of what you can do with your phones. Please remain seated the whole time though. Quite seriously, if you do stand up, you will be thrown out. That's a venue policy. That's just how it is. I don't mean to bring the mood down, but yeah, stay seated. There unfortunately won't be an opportunity for autographs or individual photos. However, at the end of the session, we're going to have a big group photo together, so that'll be great. Obviously, stay seated. There won't be any questions taken from the floor, but you've all submitted questions. I'm going to get through as many as I can because it's your night. And a massive shout out to everyone. Thank you for being here. 5 o'clock on a Thursday, great turnout. But a special shout out to the members of the Linkin Park Underground Fan Club. Day oneers, where are they? Give us a shout. You can yell. We can make some noise. Without further ado, you haven't come here to see me. He's a Grammy Award-winning co-founder and frontman of the most streamed alternative rock band in history. I'm talking about Linkin Park. He's had an ultra-successful solo career with his Fort Minor project under his own name as well. He's a producer extraordinaire. He's a philanthropist. He's a hero to you and I. It is Mike Shinoda. Welcome. Welcome. Hey.
What's happening?
You happy with that reverb?
Hello?
Yeah, happy with that? I said wash it like we're a 90s shoegaze. Speaking of sound, Big Sound. You just got back from Brisbane. It is the premier Australian music showcase, Big Sound, if you don't know. How was it?
Do people say Brizzy?
Well, I lived there for 7 years.
Right?
You say Brizzy?
Bris Vegas.
Is it double S? Do you go double S or double Z with Brizzy?
Double Z?
I'd go double S. Okay, so anyway, thanks, Mike.
I have a friend, this is such a name drop.
Yeah.
G-Flip
Sorry.
DM'd me and was like, were you in Brizzy? And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing people say. So that's the reason I say it, and yeah.
Did you collaborate with her recently?
So I know we're starting off on the most the biggest tangent already. I was doing a lot of, in the last few years, a lot of sessions with other artists. I was like writing and producing with other people, and G was one of the people, but we didn't really come up with anything. We came up with some things, but none of them were like things that ended up making the record.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, G's playing in town, and it's we're still friendly, and like maybe someday we'll do something. I don't know.
Any bands up there that you, because we love showing off our Aussie music.
Yeah, I posted on my Instagram Sophisticated Dingo.
Ooh.
And I wanted to go see, there was like a metal band that I wanted to go see whose name I'm forgetting right now, but I didn't get to because I had to wake up at like 6 o'clock in the
That's
morning.
okay. What about Aussie music in general? Like, and talking about name drops, I just caught up with Billy Corgan. Phil Collins from Def Leppard as well, and they both name dropped In Excess.
Yeah.
There's just massive influences on there. What about you? Do you have an
I
affinity with
like an
music?
Excess. I like an Excess. Sia, Tame Impala.
Oh, yeah.
Who am I missing? Who do you know that I like?
Gold Chisel.
Are you across Chisholm? Barnsley? We gotta play you some Barnsley.
Well, I mean, I know about Cold Chisel. I also know about Midnight Oil.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff.
A whole bunch of stuff. We think of you, like, I mean, if I had to, well, I think many words when I think of you, but if you had to crystallize them down, distill them, you'd probably say creative. And in so many different fields, what fuels that creativity?
Well, okay, so I have spent so much of my, I mean, I was gonna say adult life, but my childhood as well, like I've always been that way. So my parents would give me a pencil when I was like a kid, when I was really little, and when we'd go out to dinner, they'd just give me a pen and paper, or a pencil and paper, and it would occupy me for the entire dinner. they would never really need a babysitter. And music was, probably got into drawing when I was like, as soon as I could hold a pencil, and I got into piano when I was like 3. And then it's always been just part of my life. So I just kind of do it. Like even just sitting around like on the phone or something, I'm doodling. People get, like if I'm in like a meeting, people get like, you could think that I'm like not paying attention because I'm doodling sometimes when I'm doing it.
Does that inform your music?
Yeah. Like the creative process is not too dissimilar, but also like things like being able to give and take criticism that I learned when I was studying in art school. We would do critiques of our work, of each other's work, and you'd have to put your stuff up. You worked really hard on it. You worked really hard on your piece, and then 20 other people are telling you why it sucks. So it's you have to. Well, and you gotta like compartmentalize. Like, okay, this person has a point. This person doesn't. That's not a real criticism.
Yes.
That's just their taste versus my taste, and I choose my taste. And then this other thing somebody said that bothers me. How annoying! How dare they? Oh shit! It's because they're right.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's a whole game.
There's that great saying, it's never take criticism from someone you wouldn't go to for advice.
Yeah. But I actually don't entirely agree, because even somebody who has a completely different worldview than you can give you a criticism or advice that is meaningful. It's entirely possible, right? I think that's maybe one of the problems that I see with like the way people interact online, is that they silo themselves into teams and then they just don't ever listen to the other team. It's like, well, they're capable of being right. Like, you can't just write them off because you disagree on a bunch of fundamental important things. Like, that's true, but they're not wrong 100% of the time.
Yeah. Let's get into your music making. In my head, I love from the Scream soundtrack. First of all, how did that come about? Are you a fan of the Scream franchise?
Yeah, Ghostface just like called me.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, you want to play a game? And I was like, you ripped that off a saw, you motherfucker. Don't play the game thing. He's like, that was my thing. Yeah, they reached out. Originally, it was a little more on the would you produce something, and we started with the Demi Lovato track, and they loved that. I got that started, and then as I was kind of playing them things like demos, they loved this second one, and I was like, well, that's a song that I think I'm developing myself. Is that something that would you want a song by me? And they were like, yes. We have 2 songs, and I'm like, oh, let me think about it.
Imagine if that was, nah, thanks though.
I was very like flattered, and I had an idea of where in my head was gonna go, what kind of song it was gonna be. But I think being the fact that it was being developed with Scream in mind, it turned into this cool horror, I don't know, just even the choice of putting Kaylee Morgue on it was because of Scream, right?
Sure.
So yeah.
I just mentioned it because I mentioned it to you earlier. This is not the first time I've seen Mike today, which is an absolute thrill for me. You're just the king of amalgamating all these different genres into one song, And I just wonder, is that a conscious decision, or is it just something that comes about naturally?
I think it's probably more natural, but there are intentional, conscious moments. So, sometimes one of the I want to say technique, but one of the choices that we make is, I've learned this wouldn't necessarily work for everybody, but for me, it works great. If I'm making a thing and it's too much like something, if it's too much like one band, then the question I ask myself is, okay, what can that band do? And then so the simple version of that is this sounds too much like Depeche Mode. What does Depeche Mode not do? Oh, rapping, or like hip hop beats, or just obvious stuff. Like you can start to do that with, and you can get as nuanced as you want with it.
And just keep going until it's a completely unique sound.
Yeah, I think so. And sometimes that's not what you want. Like sometimes when it veers too far away from the thing that you like, that it sounds like maybe then it doesn't get better. Then you're like, oh, actually, it needs to be more like Depeche Mode. Like then that's what's good about it.
What do you like with a blank canvas? Are you daunted by it, or does it excite you? It seems like it excites you.
And blank canvas is just like, to me, I'm constantly starting new things. It's for these guys, it's probably annoying. Like I just go off on fucking tangents. I go on tangents verbally, I go on tangents online, musically, whatever.
I think you're cool.
If any of you tuned into my Twitch stream, you know what I mean. I'm just like all over the place.
I think you're cool with it. You cool with it? Yeah. I think they're alright with it. A big congratulations to you too. It's the 20th anniversary of Meteora. An incredible record.
What the hell is going on? Is that normal?
You got my.
Weeknight a week.
Yeah. You're lucky you're not standing. You got my prank water bottle, good stuff. What's your relationship?
Dripping all over me.
So sorry.
This is a total prank, isn't it?
Yeah. Don't take that out of context either. Don't cut up it's dripping all over me and put that on.
Nobody was thinking that.
Sorry, it says more about me. What's your relationship with Meteora 20 years on? Because I listen to it every day.
I feel like people have heard my stories about Meteora a lot. I mean, I don't think there's much new to say about it. Maybe one thing I can say that is important, like maybe right now, but that's current, is that like it was the assembly of the Meteora box set, the 20th anniversary thing with Lost and the demos that we put out. I think I was in the middle of this like recalibration towards making my own music. Like I've been doing, like we were talking about the Scream thing, and like making music for Demi Lovato, making music for Grandson and Justice Bennett and Paris and all of these people that I had met along the way. I was doing a lot of sessions, and I said to my team and sometimes to other people, like I'm not gonna get on the mic. Like I'll sing like a guide vocal as we're writing it, but the song's not gonna be for me. And then at a certain point I realized, like towards the end of last year, that I missed doing songs for me. There's something like that, going deep on your own like artistic vision is really rewarding. And that was happening at the same time that we were putting together some of the Meteora stuff. So I think it didn't influence, it wasn't I didn't do one because of the other or anything like that, but I just find it interesting. I just thought it was cool and interesting to be both diving into this old thing, but also pushing forward. And I definitely like got some good vibes from like looking at all that old Meteora stuff.
Well, the best vibe you also got was from Lost, because that's the song you released, went to #1. Why did you pick, because there were a few demos you were telling me, why did you pick Lost in particular?
Because it was the best.
Great.
It wasn't actually the best. I mean, like, I felt like a lot of those demos, I truly am kidding about that, because it was, I thought a lot of those demos were really good. I loved all the ones, all of the new old demos. Healing Foot was cool, right? I thought that was great. I was like, that was one where I was like, oh, I remember, like I didn't, before I like got that track, before we found it on a drive or whatever, I remembered it, and I didn't remember exactly how it sounded, but I remembered how it went. And there's something like, I forget sometimes that in the process of making a bunch of things all along the way, like from the beginning of our career to now, sometimes we make things that are the stepping stones to get to other things, and we don't ever show the stepping stone. And sometimes there's a good reason why we don't. Like, it's really, they shouldn't see that or hear that or whatever. And other times it's like actually pretty cool. It's like a cool part of the process. I mean, maybe that actually, maybe that's the reason I've been putting on my social media, I've been putting these little mood board things up. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, is because I wanted to share more of the like world of like where my head's at as I'm like gearing up to do something. Yeah.
Feels like something coming.
Why are we doing that?
What?
Again, with the innuendo.
Oh no, I didn't mean that time. That's him that time. No, I didn't know. I didn't even think of that. You mentioned.
Make sure you put that one with his. Put that online.
I'll flip it.
That
That one's the meme.
That one looks worse off context. You mentioned Demi Lovato, you mentioned Paris, Suko, all these artists you're working with. Is there anyone you haven't had a chance to work with yet that you'd like to? Maybe we can catch it on tape. We can tag them.
I wouldn't. I don't want to do that. You know why? Because it's sometimes it's like I've learned over time. Number one, that if I'm gonna like pursue an artist that I think is cool and I want to work with, it's better to do it and get to the point where we like make something that I'd rather get to the point where we make something cool and then talk about it, as opposed to just floating stuff out there. I know that like, you know, it's tempting to do the other way, but what I usually do is like I just follow people on social media that I like.
And slide into the DMs.
I don't, well, so what usually happens with people, this actually happens, this is the secret life of artists.
Great.
Secret life of artists is everybody follows, unless you're a person that like on my Threads account, I follow like nobody.
Yeah.
But on my other normal accounts, I follow tons and tons and tons of things, and somebody will reach out and just be like, oh, yo, like I'm a fan, thanks for following me, like I love your work. And I'm like, well, I'm following you because I love your work, what's up?
That's very nice.
Yeah, and sometimes it is just, I like your stuff, acknowledgement, and like, that's cool. And then there was one visual artist, for example, his name is Josh Vitas. And Josh, if you've ever seen Josh does like, he'll take a sneaker and paint it all white and then draw the outlines in black, and when you see a picture of it, it looks flat. But it's a three-dimensional image, and he'll do that to a whole room. He does that to like, right? He's done restaurants. He's done lots of things. Followed his stuff, and he hit me with a DM and was like, "Yo, I love your stuff." And I was like, "I love your stuff," and that was that, right? And then at some point down the line, like I was at a dinner with some people, and this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, Mike." I'm like, "Hi." Like, I don't. And he's like, "It's Josh." Like, yeah, we follow each other. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's really the nice thing, is that's how artists, I feel like that's how artists can make connections, and it's much more natural, organic than.
Absolutely. What about an old school artist? I want to put like one, you're never going to work with them, but you're
Never going to work with them, but I love them. Rick Astley.
Oh my God.
God.
Did you see him cover all those Smith songs, I think at Glastonbury?
I mean, I've seen everything he's done. I did worship
That's
his entire catalog.
I think it was with Blossoms. He covered all of the Morrissey stuff.
I don't know.
Oh, you got to see it.
It's good?
Oh, mate, it's unreal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
he is actually pretty awesome.
Mate,
it's funny because like I love when people like embrace the meme part of their identity.
100%. He strikes me as a really nice Noel Gallagher, because he's got the same. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got the same sort of northern accent, but then he's just so pleasant and charming.
That's really funny.
Listen, hindsight 2020. Is there a particular period of your musical journey over the last 3 decades that you look upon most fondly? Whether it's in the studio, whether it's a live performance, whether it's just
I mean, the most memorable thing is obviously the Enmore Theatre in Sydney. Do you know what about that story? You know about that story. I'm shocked that there's no like real photos. I looked. There's like no photos of it. You imagine that somebody had like at the time had a camera or something, and they didn't have. It was like 2001, so they didn't have like smartphones. But
do you know they only recently just fixed that floor properly?
I mean, because it broke again.
Yeah, but you would have thought that it wouldn't have broken again. You know what I mean?
You'd think.
Yeah, it's like they put some gaffer on
You'd
there.
think they'd be like, hey, that was really dangerous. Maybe somebody was like, but that was Linkin Park. Like, that can't happen again. Those guys, those fans are crazy.
Yeah. And then I think it happened, was it Ocean Alley or something?
No,
Janice.
Oh no, that's fair.
Yeah.
He breaks some floors.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, he did it too. Now I gotta check out his music.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you're incredible fans. You've cultivated quite a connection with them through your various projects. How have you sustained and strengthened those bonds over the years?
God, that's a good question. I feel like, you know, there's the technology part, right, where we're like, we gather in new places in the same way. Like, there's really not a huge difference between the core, like, way you gather on Discord versus the Linkin Park message board or LP Underground message board back in the day. Like, it's the same thing.
Is it? I would have thought it's very different with technology.
My point is it's not the technology, it's not like the format. Like, the format's more advanced,
yes.
right? Discord's more advanced. Oh,
yes.
You've got it on your laptop, you've got it on your phone.
Same premise.
There's stickers, there's GIFs, the blah, 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 blah. If you say GIF, you can leave now.
It is GIF, 100%.
So the technology's newer, but the essence of it is the same thing. And what I love about it, by the way, is that you can have your private conversations with people that want to go as nerdy and deep as you want to. Like, that's the best, right? So I love it, like, giving people a space to do that, and I'm glad that, you know, for any of you that haven't joined the Discord, I encourage you to do it, just because you'll be there with other, like, Linkin Park fans, and it's more fun with more people.
That's it. Well, you mentioned nerdy and deep. We're going nerdy and deep now. These are your questions. Okay, you supplied these. I'm asking as many as I can. If you don't like them, they're not for me. If you like them, they're for me.
I like all of them more than the other ones.
Well, you're more than welcome.
For sure.
Nice little backhand.
Hey.
Look,
who are we here for?
the fans.
Are you here for me or
you?
Or we're here for them?
No, sorry. This is asked by Brandon Berger,
Okay.
which is an alliterative and very delicious name. Out of all the artists you've collaborated with for Linkin Park, Fort Minor, your own solo work, which artist was the best to work with and why? The best.
Wow, the best. That's a hard one. I'm like going through the list of all of the people too.
Oh, memorable night?
Well, because the thing is, like I had a ton of fun. Oh man, I had a ton of fun with Kay Flay, and we're still super good friends. Grandson as well.
Yeah.
Going backwards, I felt so like blessed to get Black Thought on a track.
Oh yeah.
So, same with Rakim. I was like, can I tell you Rakim's story? Okay,
Please.
so actually this is like, as a person who grew up on rap music, I think it's my duty to say it's Rakim. It's it's my responsibility.
Done.
So, and the reason is this guy, he is to rap what like Jimi Hendrix is to guitar, or you know what I mean? Like he's the god. Literally, people call him the god. He's just respected in that way, and part of it is just his integrity. He doesn't fly anymore. He doesn't like flying. So if he's gonna go do something, he drives. So he drove from New York to the studio to come do his verse on our song "Guilty All the Same." And when he showed up at the studio, everybody in the studio knew he was coming. Not our people, other people. Everybody, the studio manager and owner knew. Everybody showed up to just get a glimpse of him.
Yeah.
And people were like shook when he came in. He shook everybody's hand. He said hello to everybody. They were so like starstruck, as was I. The guy came in. He was so gracious. And he wrote a verse for that song, which I mean, it's as good as anything he's ever done. Like he's still incredible, and I'm just a huge fan. So that was like really special. He was so, he's the opposite of that whole like never meet your idols thing. Like just a very gracious, intelligent, put together dude.
Unreal.
Yeah.
This is asked by James Strong. What piece of advice had the biggest impact on your life?
Wow. I'll make this about music because if you were asking other things, it's hard for me to pull something. But when it comes to music, I'd probably say the most important piece of advice I got was from Rick Rubin, who encouraged me to start songs without any track. Like he basically was like, he figured out how I was writing at the time in 2006 or 7, and it was our first record with him. We had just done Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and we wanted to do something very different. We wanted to redefine the band and write a new kind of record that kind of left a bunch of the new metal stuff behind. And Rick said to me, you usually write songs, you write your demos from a track first and then you put vocals on it. Have you ever tried to write with just an instrument? I said, yes. And he said, what songs? And I said, In the End, Breaking the Habit. And he's like, those went pretty well. Do you think maybe you should do that some more? And I was like, yeah. And then, for 5 or 6 more months, I did not do it. And it was because it's muscle memory. Like you only know how to do things, if you've done something for so long, like it takes a long time to rewrite the new habit. So I did learn to start some songs. I learned, when appropriate, and it's appropriate in a lot of cases, maybe most cases, to write from instrument and voice to get it there.
Do you always go acoustic first?
I mean, it could be a synthesizer,
Yeah.
like it could be me and a drum machine, but it's gotta be something, to me, like the best way to do it is something that's malleable. So if it's a drum machine or like a sample-based thing, I say you're writing it while I do it. It's not on the timeline in the computer, because that feels locked in. You've got a key and a tempo and whatever. You can change it for sure, but it's a little more rigid. It's certainly a lot more rigid than fingers on a piano, where you go, what if I sang this, what if I sang that? And the next thing you know, you transposed it up 4 notes and you're 10 beats per minute faster, and it's 3/4 instead of 4/4. Like, super different. That's an entirely different song you've now started to write. That was a very nerdy part of the answer.
No, I was following it.
Okay, because you're nerdy like me.
Yeah.
Smart.
I'd love to see your voice notes as well. Your voice notes must be.
My voice notes are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll show you, but you can't. Well, I don't know if I can show you. They have song titles and stuff on them.
I know.
But I have, like, just to give you like how many, like, it's just constant. It's thousands of things. It's like pre-chorus idea, pre-chorus major note, upbeat note, chorus, guitar, re-record, post-chorus, post-chorus vibe, question mark, chorus, fat sand hat. Oh, that's a hi-hat that I have. It's a sample of my hi-hat. So yeah, I'm like, as I'm writing, the Rick thing was a big deal, like, because I'm doing voice notes to remember what I just played that I thought was cool.
Yeah. This is from Kane Polmere. He asks, well, it's a paragraph, so I'm going to shorten it. What are your thoughts on the use of AI voice clones in the music industry, and have you heard any clones of your own voice?
Oh, okay, so you guys, Australia's very interested in this, like, in the new technology stuff.
We
like
just
more was cool, because more so than other places that I've been or people that I've talked to. With that said, I do want to sidetrack for a quick thing.
Yeah.
And just clear up, make sure that you guys understand when I'm talking about AI, like, there's a lot of different components to AI, and one of them is that people kind of got mistaken with me or with us. We had a video for Lost that had AI, and there was some backlash online. They're like, how dare you use AI, you're ripping off artists, blah, blah, blah. The way we used AI in that, we were actually kind of ahead of the conversation of those people. If you were one of those people, like, no offense, I didn't, all I'm saying is, we already thought of that. We already knew that was a thing. And so when we did the video for Lost, we trained the AI only on material that we owned. So we collaborated with an anime company, and we trained the AI on their anime, which they own, and our video footage, which we own. It didn't pull, if you've heard of Mid-Journey or any of those, Kyber AI or many other things, they pull from the internet. Our AI pulled from our material only.
Sure.
That's different. So when it comes to things like this, there's a huge gray area about what is it training on, and clearly what people are training an AI voice on is the copyrighted material.
Theft.
It's sampling.
Okay.
It's sampling, and you're allowed to sample, right? So let's make an analogy. You're allowed to sample. You're just supposed to clear it. You're supposed to claim it, clear it, pay the artist you sampled from. If you don't sample from them, you're supposed to. If you cover, then it's a cover, and the writer then gets paid, right? You didn't use their recording, but you used their words and their melodies, etc. So similarly, we haven't caught up. We haven't caught up to like, okay, how is the AI using information, other people's information? Which information is it using? How do we tag that? How do we pay them? How do we create laws about what you are allowed to do with it and what you're not? It's the thing that the writers and the actors are striking about.
Yeah.
Is in one of the cases it's this.
Yeah.
But by the way,
yes,
on a completely unrelated but
unrelated, but it is related.
I don't know what to say in this case because the memes are funny. Like I love hearing a Linkin Park song done by SpongeBob, and I love hearing some modern pop song done with our voices. Like it's funny. It's funny to me. It's almost like it's funny as long as it's free. If you're not making money on it, cool. But the second you turn on I put it on DSPs, I'm selling it, or I'm putting an ad before it on the YouTube page, then I'm just like, well, you guys, you're selling something.
Parody, not profit.
Yeah.
Let's get a hashtagging.
Yeah.
Made a little hashtag.
It's a hashtag.
Mike, this is from Stacy Katsinas. Okay.
That was perfect.
That was
That's exactly right.
I'm really sorry for
I'm positive it was right.
Do you remember the tools or techniques to create these sound design elements that would become synonymous with Linkin Park and Fort Minor? So, for example, the recipe for the intro synth in Lying From You, or the drum glitch stuttering sessions in Breaking the Habit?
Oh yeah, it's like everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll sample things with my phone, I'll like write a thing on guitar and mangle it in the computer, I'll use a plugin, it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything.
This is from Tony Chiron. Given your long career as a professional musician, almost 3 decades, which you had been reminded of, how would you say music streaming and social media have changed the way people listen to music? Have you ever seen those factors influence the songwriting creative process?
Yeah, that's the reason there's so much there's so many songs that are written for TikTok.
Yes.
Right? Like, by the way, I've been in the room with people that have made those, like some of those things, and I mean, no shame in your game. That's how you make money. Great, that's fine. It's not what I want to do. And it's because of those things. I think it's like even more important to have other voices.
Yeah.
That don't have the intention of just feeding into the algorithm and doing whatever. Those conversations, so you guys know, those type of music makers, when they're writing a song, just to put it into contrast with what I was just describing, like the way I just talked about making a song from scratch. In contrast, those people will say, these songs are currently hits, they are in these keys, they are at this tempo, they are using these sounds, that's where we're starting. It's math. It's okay, the algorithm's choosing those, I'm gonna make one of those as fast as possible and get it into the feed, get it into into the system, so we have the best chance of riding that trend and wave. And I have a friend that actually was telling me he writes songs and doesn't even put drums on them because he knows that the rappers that he's going to give them to, the rapper's going to have a producer that's going to put the hottest current sounds on top of it. And if you put something else on it, they always feel like it's old. Like they always feel like, oh yeah, this was hot like 4 months ago, so I don't like this beat.
Right.
But as soon as you remove the drums, they go, oh, that shit's hot. Like I want to rap over that, because they can just put modern kicks and snares and stuff on it. It's crazy. That's not my. I could never live like that.
No,
it's not. That would. I couldn't sleep.
How you live, it's fine.
I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do it.
This is from Chris Beto. Have you been experimenting with any different music instruments lately, or sounds on the keys that we'll hear in future work? Like a sitar?
I mean, I'll always like play a weird instrument and just try and create cool bits and loops and whatever. I've been buying some weird little percussion things like hand drums and
canasters,
stuff like that. Cabasa? No, what's that called? Castanet.
Oh, castanet.
Castanet.
Yeah. That one. Oh, that's the castanet.
Yeah.
What's the canaster?
Cabasa, I don't know.
Is that a card game?
Canasta is a card game. That's a card game.
Thinking of a card game.
Cabasa is the one that it looks like it's a stick with a round thing and it's got metal beads all around it and you shake it like this.
I like that one.
But other than that, man, I have to admit, I've been playing more guitar lately, hence the like weird TikToks with the crap on me correcting common mistakes on a riff and then making common mistakes in my correction video. That was an actual thing.
This is from Jonathan Nickel. The music landscape is changing. Some artists are choosing to not release new material. Do you make considerations to how music is consumed when you're looking to release new material?
Yeah, I mean, I do a little bit, but it's not the primary driver. Like I'm cognizant of what people are doing, but it's not, I don't go, I might say like right now I've been open to shorter songs because it feels good.
Yeah.
And I think that's a common thing. Like people are making shorter and shorter songs. I can't imagine doing a Jack Harlow chorus, verse, chorus, that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that has been happening. To me, I haven't yet come across an idea that gets its point across that short, but that's an example of like, I'm open to it if it's a thing.
Is that conscious in this day and age? Because I feel like everyone's just got shorter attention spans, Do you think producers...
I think it's conscious. I think people will say it's not. Like some people will say like, oh, I just felt like that was that. But I think that like, the fact that those songs worked, that people like them, and they did like the numbers they did, I feel like that opened the door for people to say like, actually, maybe that is a viable way to do a song. Like a short, like under 2 minute song is still a song.
Because you used a phrase before when we caught up, and you said, it's what the song needs, which is a very producer thing to say. What the song needs, and sometimes and I'm sure you could make the song go for 10 minutes, but sometimes the song just needs to be 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's not that far off from like making a painting and then knowing when to stop.
When it's done,
yeah. Because I've made enough paintings that I painted too long, and it got worse. So, yeah, I don't want to do that with a song. Luckily, with a song, you can like undo.
Well, speaking of new music, Mitchell Carter wants to know: will Linkin Park be releasing any new music with yourself as the lead singer? That's from Mitchell Carter.
Wow, sneaky. Okay, so. And I think how I've already answered that question a million times. So I think the part of that question that's new and is interesting is about me singing. So what I've been doing since last year is I was writing and producing for other people, and then I started writing my own stuff for my own voice. And I realized that I I realized that I could get better as a singer. It's a weird realization. I'm like, oh shit, I've been doing this for so long, and I usually write a song and with the other person in mind. I'm writing for Chester, I'm writing for John Legend, I'm writing for Demi Lovato. And all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I really don't usually write and say, I'm gonna sing this, so write a thing that sounds good with me singing it. Do you wanna know a secret? Yes. Okay, so I have a thing that I made that I'm singing on. And if I play it for you, will you promise not to boo? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Yeah. Thank you. You anticipated I told them earlier I wanted to set a vibe. Okay, so we're gonna turn the lights down a little bit. And before we play it real quick, I wanna do something. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine your favorite place to listen to music. If that's your car, if that's your room, you got your headphones on, and go there for a second, and we'll listen to this. Bruises, broken in pieces, spread out till they didn't exist, losing sight of what's decent, and too righteous to know what you did.
Is that amazing?
I wanted that to keep going so bad. But I promised management we wouldn't do it.
Unreal.
They made me promise.
Can you tell us anything more?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
I'm very excited about what you just heard. I think like I said, we have a very fun little journey for you planned out towards this, and you're gonna have to free your mind of the idea of single and album and tour, the same thing that we've always done, that people always do. Just kind of put that to the side and just roll with me on this one. It's gonna be fun.
I think that's the perfect time to thank you so much for being here. One of my favorite humans.
Thank you.
Producers, musicians, as I'm sure is the case here, and you're about to hear so with the applause for Mike Shinoda. Absolutely. We're just going to grab a quick photo if that's okay. So how are we going to do?
We can be down. Oh, you want to shoot?